The ancient mirror was supposed to choose Camilla, the beautiful one, the perfect one, the daughter their parents actually loved. Instead, it marked Shani. And when Camilla saw that glowing seal burning into her sister's wrist, the rage in her eyes was more terrifying than any monster could ever be. Shani Brown had perfected the art of invisibility in her own home. While Camilla sparkled at their Buckhead Mansion's engagement party, Shani hid behind the bookshelf with her mythology texts, ignored as always. Their parents had made their preference clear years ago. Camilla was the investment. Shani was the accident they'd learned to forget. So when the delegation arrived dressed in ceremonial hanbok that looked centuries old, Shani knew they'd come for her sister. Lady Min moved through the crowd like winter itself, conversations dying in her wake. "We seek a bride for the Beast King of the Forgotten Kingdom," she announced, her voice making the chandeliers tremble. "The Honbak prophecy has awakened. The mirror will reveal his destined mate." Mrs. Brown shoved Camilla forward. "This is our daughter. Isn't she perfect?" From her corner, Shani watched Lady Min produce a bronze mirror that swallowed light. The air grew electric, and something strange happened. A heat bloomed on Shani's wrist, sharp and insistent, like invisible fingers pressing into her skin. "If she is the one," Lady Min said, "the Inmyeon will appear, the fate seal." Camilla stepped forward, confident and radiant. The mirror reflected her perfect face. Nothing happened. The silence stretched from uncomfortable to excruciating. Mrs. Brown's smile cracked, and Camilla stood frozen as seconds ticked by, showing nothing but an ordinary girl in an expensive dress. "Try again," Camilla demanded, voice sharp. "You made a mistake." But Lady Min's ancient gaze had found Shani in the shadows. "You. Come here, now." Every head turned. Shani's chest tightened, her hands trembling. This wasn't her role. This wasn't... "That's just Shani," Mr. Brown said dismissively. "She's not... Look at her wrist." The mark was already there, blooming across her brown skin like liquid gold. A tiger and crane intertwined around a full moon. It pulsed with light that matched her racing heartbeat, and the heat of it made her gasp. The Inmyeon. The fate seal. Across an impossible distance, in a palace that existed between heartbeats and shadows, Dagon felt the bond snap into place like a chain around his chest. He was in his throne room when it happened, reviewing execution orders with his generals, and the sensation hit him so hard he crushed the stone armrest beneath his hand. 500 years, 5 centuries of waiting, of the curse eating him alive from the inside, and finally, "Your Majesty?" General Kim's voice seemed far away. "Are you—" "She's been marked." Dagon's voice came out rough, barely human. The beast inside him surged, demanding, possessive. "Mine. Finally, mine. My mate. She's been found." He could feel her even now, her fear, her confusion, the rapid flutter of her heartbeat. The bond was weak still, new, but it was there. Real, alive, and gods, she was terrified. His beast snarled, wanting to tear through realms to reach her, to protect her from whatever was causing that fear. But Dagon forced himself still. 3 days. She had 3 days to come to him, or the curse would consume him completely and take both realms with him. He just had to make sure she survived that long. "Double the guards at the gateway," he ordered, his voice carrying the edge of the beast. "If anyone tries to interfere with her passage, kill them." Back in Atlanta, Shani barely heard the chaos erupting around her. Mrs. Brown was screaming. Mr. Brown was calling lawyers. But through it all, Camilla stood perfectly still, staring at Shani with an expression that made ice form in her veins. Not just jealousy, hatred, pure and venomous. "Shani Brown," Lady Min said, her hand gentle but iron strong on Shani's shoulder. "You are the chosen bride of King Dagon. You must come within 3 days, or the Beast King will lose himself completely. When that happens, millions will die in both realms." 3 days, Lady Min repeated into the chaos. "The prophecy cannot be bargained with." That night, Shani lay in bed, staring at the mark that pulsed on her wrist like a living thing. It was warm, too warm, and every few seconds it flared brighter, as if responding to something she couldn't see. Someone she couldn't see. The thought made her shiver. Was he watching her somehow through this mark? Could he feel her the way she was starting to feel? Something? A presence at the edge of her awareness, dark and vast and hungry. Her door opened. Camilla stood backlit in the doorway, beautiful and cold. "We need to talk," she said, closing the door with a soft click, "about what you've stolen from me." Shani's heart kicked hard. "I didn't steal anything. Don't lie to me." Camilla moved closer, hands shaking with barely contained rage. "I knew they were coming, Shani. For weeks, I spent thousands on shamans, fortune tellers. They all said I was destined for the Beast King. Me, not you." The words hit like a slap. "You knew? I wanted this." Tears streamed down Camilla's face, but her eyes stayed hard. A king, a kingdom, power beyond anything this world could offer. And you, the sister no one remembers, you took it from me. In his throne room, Dagon felt his mate's distress spike. Someone was threatening her. The beast in him roared, claws extending, the curse mark spreading up his neck like living ink. "Your Majesty, your eyes?" General Kim backed away. Dagon knew what he'd see in a mirror, gold bleeding into black, humanity slipping. But his mate was in danger, and every instinct screamed to go to her, to destroy whatever was causing her pain. "I'm fine," he growled, forcing the beast back through. Sheer will. "Leave me." He wasn't fine. He wouldn't be fine until she was here, safe, in his palace where he could protect her, where he could keep her. "The mirror is wrong." Camilla grabbed Shani's wrist, nails digging into the glowing mark. "You're nothing. You've always been nothing. So tell me, how did nothing like you steal my destiny?" Pain lanced through Shani's arm, and the mark flared so bright it was blinding. For a split second, she could have sworn she saw something in that golden light. A shadow, a shape, eyes that burned with inhuman hunger. Then it was gone. Shani yanked her arm back, and Camilla stumbled. When her sister looked up, her expression had smoothed into something calculated and cold. "You have no idea what you've taken from me," Camilla said softly, "but you will. I promise you that." The door closed. Shani sat in the darkness, the mark still burning on her wrist, and realized she'd just made an enemy more dangerous than any curse. Will Shani survive her sister's jealousy long enough to reach the Forgotten Kingdom? And what will the Beast King do when he discovers someone's trying to keep his mate from him? Subscribe to find out, because Dagon's patience is already running thin. Shani had 72 hours to decide, marry a monster or let millions die. But as dawn broke over Atlanta, the mark pulsed hotter, almost possessive against her skin, and Shani knew the choice had already been made. What she didn't know was that in his palace, Dagon was counting down every second until she arrived, or that his patience, 500 years in the making, was already running out. The beast wanted its mate, and the beast always got what it wanted, even if he had to burn down both realms to claim her. The Forgotten Kingdom existed in the space between heartbeats, and crossing into it felt like dying and being reborn in the same breath. One moment, Shani stood before the ritual gate in Gyeongbokgung Palace at midnight. The next, she was drowning in liquid starlight, pulled forward by the burning heat on her wrist. Then her feet hit solid ground and she was standing in eternal autumn. The sky burned crimson and gold. A palace of black stone rose before her like something from a dark fairy tale, and the air tasted of cinnamon and smoke and magic. "The king has ordered that you be brought to him immediately," Lady Min said, her voice formal now, afraid. "He's been waiting." In the throne room, Dagon had been standing at the window for 3 days, watching the gate. The curse marks had spread across his entire torso, creeping toward his heart. His eyes bled more gold than black. The beast was so close to the surface that his generals had stopped entering the room. He should be terrified. 500 years of holding on and he was down to hours, but all he felt was hunger. "Everyone out," he ordered when the notification came. "When she arrives, I see her alone." The room emptied in seconds. The doors opened, and every coherent thought in Dagon's head evaporated. She was beautiful, not in an obvious way, but like a storm rolling in, like something real and vital and alive in a palace full of immortal ghosts. The bond roared to life between them, so powerful it nearly drove him to his knees. He could feel her heartbeat as if it were his own, racing and wild. She was his. "Leave us," he said without looking away from her. The doors closed, and suddenly they were alone. She stood 20 feet away, trembling but not running. "You're late," he said, voice rough. "Do you have any idea what these 3 days have been like?" "Lady Min said I had 3 days. 3 days of feeling you across an impossible distance. 3 days of your fear bleeding through this bond." He took a step forward and she held her ground. Brave. 3 days of knowing someone hurt you and not being able to reach you. Another step. She still didn't run. "You're real," he said, and something cracked in his chest. 500 years, and you're actually real. "So are you." Her eyes traced the curse marks on his neck, and everywhere her gaze touched, his skin burned. The legends said beast. They said killer. They said you kept the bodies of your previous brides. Despite everything, he almost smiled. "And yet, you came anyway. Millions of lives versus my fear wasn't much of a choice." "There's always a choice, Shani Brown." He said her name like a claim. "You could have run, hidden, let the world burn, but you didn't. Why?" "I don't know." Her honesty surprised them both. "Maybe I'm tired of being invisible. Maybe I'm tired of being the daughter no one wanted." Her hand went to the mark on her wrist. "Or maybe this thing has been pulling me toward you since the moment it appeared." The Inmion blazed brighter, and Dagon felt it like a fist around his heart. The beast surged, and the curse mark spread further up his neck. He was losing control. "Don't!" he warned, but she was already reaching up. Her fingers touched the marks on his throat, and the world exploded. Electricity shot through them both. The bond snapped fully into place, no longer a thread but a chain. Dagon's hand caught her wrist, and when their Inmayans aligned, gold light flooded the throne room. The beast inside him roared, not with rage, with peace. The curse marks retreated. Not completely, but enough that Dagon could breathe without tasting blood. Enough that his eyes cleared to almost human again. "What did I do?" Shani stared at where their wrists touched. "You calmed it. The beast." His voice was rough with wonder. "The prophecy said you could break the curse. It didn't say how." His thumb traced the crane on her wrist, and he felt her sharp intake of breath. "You're not just my mate, Shani. You're my anchor. The only thing standing between me and complete destruction. That's too much pressure. I'm nobody." "You crossed into another realm to save. Millions. You touched a monster without flinching. You calmed a curse that's been killing me for 5 centuries. He stepped closer until he could feel the heat of her body. "Tell me again how you're not strong enough." Her breath hitched. This close, he could see the rapid flutter of her pulse in her throat, could feel the way her body responded to his proximity despite her fear. The bond hummed between them, singing with want and need and a hunger that terrified them both. "I should go," she said, but she didn't move. "You should." He didn't move either. They stood there, caught in each other's gravity, the air thick with everything they weren't saying. His eyes dropped to her mouth, her lips parted slightly. The beast purred. "Mine. Take her. Claim her." "Not yet," he told it. "Not when she's still afraid, but soon." He forced himself to step back. The loss of contact was physically painful, and he saw her sway. "Lady Min will show you to your chambers," he managed. "Tomorrow we begin the bonding rituals. There are steps that must be done to complete the curse breaking." His eyes found hers again, letting her see the hunger there. "But tonight, you rest. You're safe here. Whatever comes, they'll have to go through me first." As she turned to leave, he caught her wrist one more time, gently. "Thank you for coming, for not running." He gestured at his chest where the marks had retreated. "For giving me hope that I might be more than a monster after all." Something softened in her expression. "You're welcome," she said quietly. Then, with a small smile that nearly destroyed him, "Your Majesty." The doors closed behind her, and Dagon stood alone, his hand still tingling where he'd touched her. The beast settled for the first time in centuries. His mate was here, in his palace, under his protection, and God's help anyone who tried to take her from him. 3,000 miles away, Camilla Brown ended a call and smiled at the encrypted message on her screen. "It's done," said the voice. "The bride has arrived. Lord Sung is in position. He'll make sure she doesn't survive the week." "Good." Camilla's fingers traced her own wrist where no mark had appeared. "Make it look like an accident, or better yet, make it look like the beast finally did what beasts do best." She ended the call and poured herself wine. "Enjoy your monster, little sister," she whispered, "while you still can." Shani woke to someone trying to kill her. One moment she was dreaming of gold eyes and burning marks, the next a hand clamped over her mouth and cold steel pressed against her throat. "Don't scream," a voice whispered. "Male, unfamiliar. The Beast King's bride dies tonight, and everyone will think he finally lost control." Terror shot through her, but so did something else. Rage. She hadn't survived Camilla's jealousy and crossed realms just to die in her sleep by some coward with a knife. The inmian on her wrist flared hot, almost burning, and suddenly she felt him. Dagon. His rage exploding through the bond like wildfire, so intense it made her gasp against the hand covering her mouth. He was coming. The assassin must have felt her tense because the knife pressed harder. "Such a waste. You're prettier than I expected for—" The window exploded inward. Dagon came through it like vengeance incarnate, glass raining around him, his eyes fully black and claws extended. The curse marks covered every visible inch of skin, pulsing with violent gold light. He wasn't a man anymore. He was the beast, finally unleashed. The assassin barely had time to turn before Dagon's hand closed around his throat. "You touched her." Dagon's voice was inhuman, layered with a growl that made the walls tremble. "You put a blade to my mate's throat." "Your Majesty, I was ordered." "I don't care if the gods themselves ordered it." Dagon lifted him off the ground with one hand. "You touched her. Dagon." Shani's voice came out shaky, but she forced herself to stand, to move closer even though every instinct screamed to run. "Stop, please!" His head whipped toward her, and for a terrifying moment she thought he didn't recognize her. Then his eyes found the inmian on her wrist, still glowing, and something shifted. "He hurt you," Dagon growled, gaze locked on the thin line of blood on her throat. "He made you bleed." "Barely." She took another step closer, hand outstretched. "I'm okay, but I need answers more than I need his death." Her fingers pressed against the curse marks on his arm. "Who sent you?" The marks retreated slightly. Dagon's eyes flickered from black to gold, but he didn't drop the assassin. "Talk," he commanded. "Who sent you?" The man choked out. "Lord Sung said the kingdom would be better without a human queen." Shani felt Dagon's rage spike again through the bond. She pressed her hand more firmly against his arm. "Let him live," she said quietly. "Let everyone see what happens to people who threaten your mate, but let him live to tell the story." For a long moment, Dagon didn't move. Then, with visible effort, he threw the assassin across the room where guards had appeared. "Take him to the dungeons," Dagon ordered, "and bring me Lord Sung, now." The guards scrambled to obey. The door closed, and suddenly they were alone in her destroyed bedroom, glass crunching under their feet. "You're bleeding," Dagon said. and his hand came up to her throat with surprising gentleness. His claws had retracted, but his fingers trembled as they traced the thin cut. "He hurt you. You saved me. I almost didn't make it in time." His thumb traced her jaw, and she found herself leaning into the touch. Another second, and he would have... His voice broke. "I can't lose you, Shani. I know we just met. I know this is insane, but I can't lose you." The raw honesty did something to her. This wasn't the composed king or the dangerous beast. This was just a man who'd spent 500 years alone and was terrified of losing the one person who could save him. "You won't," she said. "I'm not that easy to kill." His expression darkened. "Your sister. She's part of this, isn't she?" At her surprised look, he explained, "I felt your fear when she confronted you in Atlanta. The bond was weak then, but it was there. What did she say to you?" The story spilled out. Camilla's confession about wanting this destiny, about the poisonous promise in her eyes. By the end, Dagon's curse marks were spreading again. "She threatened you and I couldn't protect you," he said, voice rough. "She's probably the one who told Lord Sung about your arrival, who helped coordinate this attack." His eyes met hers, glowing gold. "Give me permission, and I'll make sure she never threatens you again." "No." The word came out firmly. "She's still my sister. I need to face her myself when the time comes. Then I'll make sure you survive long enough to do it." His hand covered hers, pressing it against his chest where she could feel his heartbeat racing. He leaned down until his forehead touched hers. "When I felt you in danger, I would have torn through both realms to reach you." They stood like that for a moment, breathing the same air, and Shani felt that impossible pull again, the one that made her want to close the distance between them despite every logical reason not to. "The bonding rituals," she said quietly. "Lady Min mentioned them. What happens?" Dagon's eyes darkened. 3 rituals over 3 days. Each one strengthens the bond, breaks the curse piece by piece. His thumb traced her inmyun. "Tomorrow is the first, a traditional wedding ceremony. You'll wear hanbok, we'll exchange vows in the old language." His voice dropped lower. "The second ritual involves physical bonding, necessary to anchor the curse breaking. But Shani, I won't force you, even if it means staying cursed forever." Her breath caught at the intensity in his gaze, at the implication. Heat pooled low in her belly, and she knew he could feel it through the bond because his pupils dilated. "And the third?" Her voice came out huskier than intended. "The third requires a choice. You decide if you want to stay human or become like me, immortal, bonded to this realm forever." He stepped back, putting distance between them. "Once you choose, there's no going back." 3 rituals, 3 days, 3 steps toward a future she'd never imagined. "We start tomorrow," she said. He nodded, then paused at the destroyed window. "You're staying in my chambers tonight. I'm not letting you out of my sight until Lord Sung is dealt with." The possessiveness in his tone should have bothered her. Instead, it made her feel safer than she had since the mirror chose her. "Tomorrow, then," she agreed. "We get married." His smile was dark and full of promise. "Tomorrow, ne sarang, you become mine in the eyes of both realms, and anyone who tries to stop it will learn exactly why they call me the Beast King." As dawn broke over the Forgotten Kingdom, Lord Sung stood in his chambers reading the message from Atlanta. "The assassin failed, but don't worry, I have another plan, one the Beast King will never see coming. Make sure my dear sister survives long enough for the wedding. I want her to know exactly who's responsible when everything falls apart." It was signed with a simple C. Lord Sung smiled and burned the message. Camilla Brown was proving useful. Together, they would destroy the prophecy, eliminate the human bride, and claim the throne. They just had to make sure the Beast King didn't see it coming until it was too late. The wedding ceremony was supposed to unite two realms. Instead, it became the moment Dagon showed everyone exactly what happened to those who threatened his mate. Shani walked down the aisle in crimson and gold hanbok, ornate bignot woven through her braids, a fusion of Korean tradition and her natural hair. Every eye in the kingdom watched as she approached Dagon, who waited in black ceremonial robes that made him look like a dark prince from ancient tales. Their eyes met, and the bond flared hot between them. "You're beautiful," his voice whispered in her mind, and she gasped. They could communicate through the bond now? Nothing about us is normal ne sarang, he thought back. But I wouldn't change it. The ceremony began. The officiant chanted in Old Korean while they performed each ritual, the pieback honoring ancestors, exchanging cups of wine that tasted of autumn and magic. When it came time for vows, Dagon's eyes never left hers. "I bind myself to you," he said, "in this life and whatever comes after. Your pain is mine, your joy is mine. Your enemies are mine to destroy." She spoke her vows in careful Korean. "Nanen dangsin과 결혼합니다." I marry you. The inmyeon blazed so bright the entire hall gasped. The curse marks on Dagon's skin retreated, and for a moment his eyes were completely human, full of raw emotion. "The first ritual is complete," the officiant announced. "You are bonded." Glass shattered overhead. Shani looked up to see a figure rappelling down, and her blood turned to ice. Camilla landed in the center of the aisle, flanked by 6 armed men, and smiled. "Did you really think I'd miss your big day?" Dagon moved so fast he blurred, positioning himself between Camilla and Shani. The curse marks blazed back to life as the beast surged forward. "You have 3 seconds to leave," he growled, "before I show this court why they call me the Beast King." "I didn't come to stop the wedding." Camilla held up a vial of dark liquid. "I came to trigger the curse transference. Our great-great-grandmother's blood, mixed with a fraudulent bond. According to Lord Sung's research, it should transfer the curse to my dear sister." She threw the vial. Dagon caught it mid-air, crushing the glass. Dark liquid sizzled against his palm, and Shani felt his pain through the bond, but nothing else happened. Camilla's expression faltered. "That should have transferred the curse?" Dagon's laugh was dark. "Your research was incomplete. The curse can't be transferred through the bond. The bond is what breaks it." He took a step toward her. "But thank you for proving you're willing to murder your own sister." "She's not my sister," Camilla spat. "She's a thief who manipulated fate." "The prophecy chose," Shani said, stepping around Dagon despite his growl of protest. "The mirror chose, and you can't accept that for once. Something wasn't about you." "You don't deserve this." Camilla's composure cracked. "You spent your whole life being nothing, and suddenly one mirror decides you're special? It's not fair." "You're right. It's not fair." Shani's voice was steady. "Just like it wasn't fair that I spent 26 years invisible while you got everything. But that's not how fate works, and trying to destroy what you can't have just makes you pathetic." Camilla's face twisted with rage. She lunged with a knife. Dagon caught her by the throat mid-leap, lifting her off the ground. His eyes went fully black, claws extended. The guards raised weapons but froze at one look from him. "You tried to kill her," he growled, and the walls trembled. "Twice now. Give me one reason I shouldn't tear you apart." "Dagon." Shani's hand touched his arm, and the beast responded immediately. "Don't. She's not worth it. If you kill her, she wins, becomes the victim murdered by the Beast King." She looked at Camilla. Let her live with the fact that she failed. For a long moment, Dagon didn't move. Then he threw Camilla toward her guards. "Take her back to Atlanta. She's banished from this realm. If she ever returns—" His eyes found Lord Sung edging toward the exit. "She and her co-conspirators will learn exactly how creative I can be with executions." Guards apprehended Lord Sung and the mercenaries. Camilla struggled to her feet, coughing. "I hate you," she whispered. "I know," Shani said quietly, "but I don't hate you. I just pity you." As they dragged Camilla away screaming, Dagan turned to Shani. She saw the beast still lurking in his eyes, felt through their bond his fury, his fear for her safety, and beneath it all, a desperate need to claim her. "The first ritual is complete," he said, voice rough, "but the second ritual awaits." Heat flooded through her at the hunger in his gaze. "Your Majesty," Lady Min said carefully, "perhaps the bride needs time." "No." Shani's voice was steady despite her racing heart. "No more waiting, no more interruptions. We finish this, tonight." Dagan's hand found hers, thumb pressing against her inmian. "The second ritual requires intimacy. It requires me to claim you in every way that matters." His voice dropped lower. "Are you certain, Ne Sarang? Because once we begin, I won't be able to stop." "I'm certain." "Then come." He pulled her close, possessively. "Let me show you what it means to be the Beast King's mate." He led her from the hall through corridors that seemed to blur. With each step, the bond pulled tighter, hotter, more insistent. By the time they reached his chambers, Shani was trembling, not with fear, but anticipation. Dagan closed and locked the door with finality. "Last chance," he said, turning to face her. "The second ritual will complete our bond. You'll feel everything I feel. I'll feel everything you feel. No secrets, no walls. And afterward," his eyes blazed gold, "you'll be mine in every way that matters, body and soul." Shani stepped forward. "And you'll be mine." His smile was dark and full of promise. "Always. I was yours the moment the prophecy marked you." She reached up to touch the curse marks on his throat, and electricity sparked between them. "Then show me," she whispered. "Show me what it means to break a curse with love." Dagan's control shattered. He pulled her against him, his mouth claiming hers with 500 years of hunger and desperate need. The bond exploded between them, desire and devotion, and a connection so deep it felt like sharing the same soul. The second ritual had begun, and by the time dawn broke over the Forgotten Kingdom, nothing would ever be the same. The second ritual wasn't gentle, and Shani was grateful for it. Dagan's mouth moved from her lips to her throat, and everywhere he touched, the bond sang between them. The curse marks on his skin pulsed with golden light that answered the inmion blazing on her wrist. "I can feel you," he murmured against her skin, voice rough. "Everything. Your heartbeat, your desire, the way your breath catches when I—" His teeth grazed her pulse point, and she gasped. "Do that." "It goes both ways," Shani managed, her hands sliding up his chest to feel the marks there. Through the bond, she felt his hunger, his desperation, 500 years of loneliness finally ending. "I feel how much you've wanted this." "Wanted?" His laugh was dark as he backed her toward the bed. "Ne Sarang, I've been dying for you since the moment that mark appeared on your wrist. I need you like I need air, like I need my next heartbeat." The raw honesty made her bold. "Then take me," she whispered. "Claim me. Make me yours." Something snapped in him. His kiss turned demanding, possessive, and Shani met him with equal hunger. The handbok came off in reverent urgency. When his mouth found the mark on her wrist, kissing the crane and tiger intertwined there, the bond flared so bright she saw stars. "Beautiful," he breathed. "You're so beautiful, and you're mine. Finally mine." "Yours," she agreed. The curse marks retreated with each kiss, each touch, each whispered promise in Korean and English and the wordless language of their bond. Dagan was careful despite his need, checking with her constantly through their connection, making sure she wanted this, wanted him, wanted forever. And she did. God's help her, she did. When he finally claimed her completely, the bond exploded between them. Golden light flooded the room as the inmion and curse marks merged, as two souls became one. Shani felt the exact moment the curse broke. Not with violence, but with overwhelming rightness, like a key finally turning in a lock stuck for centuries. Through their connection, she felt Dagon's relief, his joy, his fierce love he'd been too afraid to name, and she let him feel hers, the girl who'd been invisible her whole life, finally seen, finally chosen, finally home. "I love you," she thought through the bond. "Sarang, he answered, the Korean word wrapping around her like a caress. "Forever. Ne sarang." They moved together until neither knew where one ended and the other began, until the bond was so complete it felt like they shared the same heartbeat. When release came, it shattered them both, remaking them into something new, something unbreakable. Shani woke hours later to find Dagon watching her with wonder. The curse marks were completely gone, his skin unmarked for the first time in 500 years. "It worked," she whispered, reaching up to trace where the marks had been. "You worked." He caught her hand and kissed her palm. "You broke a curse that gods themselves laid on me." His voice roughened. "How do I even begin to thank you?" "You don't have to." She pulled him down for a kiss. "You gave me something too, a place to belong, someone who sees me, really sees me, for the first time in my life. I see you." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I see strength and compassion, and a brave heart that crossed realms to save millions. I see the woman I want to spend eternity with." His eyes searched hers. "Which brings us to the third ritual. The final choice. Human or immortal, temporary or forever." "Tell me what it means," she said. "All of it." He sat up, pulling her with him. "If you choose to stay human, I'll have maybe 60 years with you before—" He couldn't finish. "If you choose immortality, you'll become like me, tied to this realm. You'll watch generations pass. You'll outlive everything you knew. But I'd have you. You'd have me." His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. "For as long as this realm exists, we'd rule together, build a life together." He looked almost shy. "Maybe even have a family if you wanted." The image formed, centuries with him, building something real. Children with his eyes and her smile, a kingdom that had accepted her. "What about Atlanta?" "We can visit. The gate works both ways." He paused. "Though after what happened with Camilla, they made their choice when they let the lawyers cut me out." She surprised herself with how little it hurt. "I spent 26 years begging for scraps. I'm done." She looked at him. "But I'd like to keep my library card and introduce you to soul food." His laugh was warm with relief. "So you're saying—" "I'm saying I choose you. I choose this. I choose forever." She touched his chest where the marks used to be. The forgotten daughter finally found where she belongs. "You gave me hope. You gave me a future. You gave me love I thought I'd never deserve." His forehead touched hers. "Are you absolutely certain? Once we complete the third ritual, there's no going back." "I've never been more certain of anything." "Then we do it now." He stood, lifting her. "Before anything else tries to stop us." He carried her to the balcony where the crimson moon hung full and bright. He produced a ceremonial blade and cut his palm, then hers. Their blood mixed as they clasped hands, and the Inmayan flared bright. "I, Dagon of the Forgotten Kingdom, give you my immortality freely," he said in Korean, then English. "My life is yours. My realm is yours. My heart is yours, for all eternity. I, Shani Brown, accept your gift freely," she said, the words coming through the bond. "I give you my mortality, my future, my heart. From this moment until the stars go dark, I am yours." The magic hit like lightning. Shani felt her human limitations burning away, felt immortality settling into her bones. The bond deepened impossibly further, fusing them into something unprecedented, two souls sharing one eternal existence. When she opened her eyes, the world looked different, sharper, more vivid. She could hear wind singing through gardens, smell night-blooming flowers 3 gardens away, feel magic pulsing through the realm like a heartbeat. "Welcome to forever, my queen," Dagon murmured, and kissed her as the realm itself seemed to celebrate their union. Later, wrapped in silk sheets as dawn painted the sky gold and crimson, Shani traced idle patterns on Dagon's chest where the curse marks used to be. "Do you miss it?" she asked quietly. "The beast?" "No." His answer was immediate. "It was never meant to be part of me, just a punishment that lasted too long." He caught her hand, pressed it against his heart. "But I don't miss being alone anymore either. For 500 years, I was incomplete. Now," his eyes found hers, gold and warm and wholly human. "Now I'm whole." "So am I," she whispered. And it was true. The forgotten daughter from Atlanta had crossed realms, broken curses, and found something she'd stopped believing existed. A place where she mattered, where she was loved, where she belonged. Not because a prophecy demanded it, but because two broken people had chosen to see each other clearly and love anyway. "Nay, Sarang," Dagon said softly, pulling her closer. "My love, my queen, my everything." Shani smiled against his chest, feeling their bond pulse steady and strong and eternal between them. The Beast King had found his salvation in a forgotten daughter, and the forgotten daughter had found her home in a Beast King's arms. Sometimes the best love stories aren't about the obvious choice. Sometimes they're about two overlooked souls who find each other in the darkness and decide that together they're enough. And sometimes that's exactly what breaks the curse. Forever. And that's how a forgotten daughter became a queen, and a cursed beast king found his salvation. If Shani and Dagon's story touched your heart, show some love with a like. Drop a comment telling me which moment made you swoon the hardest. Was it the window crash rescue, the wedding interruption, or that steamy second ritual? And subscribe because I've got more Afro-Korean romance stories coming that are just as addictive. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.